What does it mean to fight for every inch of ground when the odds seem insurmountable? In February 1945, thousands of Marines answered this question in the most unforgiving conditions imaginable. They landed on a desolate volcanic island to secure victory, not just for themselves, but for future generations. Welcome to the story of the Battle of Iwo Jima, where courage was tested and history was made. This is not just a tale of strategy or numbers. It's a story of sacrifice. Let's uncover the harrowing truths behind one of World War II's most pivotal battles. Chapter 1. Why Iwo Jima Mattered. By early 1945, the U.S. had the upper hand in the Pacific War. They had captured the Marshall and Mariana Islands, turning them into staging grounds for bombing raids on Japan. Yet, one problem persisted: Japanese fighter planes intercepting U.S. B-29 bombers from a small but crucial outpost, Iwo Jima. Iwo Jima's airfields enabled these interceptors to wreak havoc on American bombers, disrupting missions and costing lives. But that wasn't all. The island's radar systems gave Japan advanced warning of incoming attacks. Capturing Iwo Jima would silence these threats, provide a base for fighter escorts, and allow emergency landings for damaged bombers returning from Japan. Chapter 2. The Japanese Fortress. The Japanese knew they couldn't win outright, but they could delay the inevitable and inflict maximum casualties. Lieutenant General Tadamaki Kurabayashi devised a brilliant yet brutal defense strategy. He transformed Iwo Jima into a fortress, digging over 18 kilometers of tunnel connecting bunkers, pillboxes, and artillery positions. Kurabayashi forbade traditional beach defenses. Instead, his troops would let the Americans land, then unleash devastating fire from concealed positions. Every inch of the island was designed to bleed the enemy dry. One bunker, the Nampo Bunker, held supplies to last 3 months underground. It felt like the island itself wanted us dead, one Marine recalled. The black volcanic ash provided no footing, no cover, only treacherous ground under relentless fire. Chapter 3. The Landing, February 19, 1945. D-Day on Iwo Jima began like a calm before the storm. As 450 American ships loomed offshore, the first wave of Marines landed. They expected resistance, but were met with silence. Had the bombardment wiped out the defenders? It was a calculated trap. The Japanese let the Americans amass on the beach before unleashing hell. Machine guns, mortars, and artillery tore into the crowded shorelines. The volcanic ash, far from offering refuge, made it nearly impossible to dig foxholes for cover. Shells screamed overhead. Men fell around me, some never to rise again. It was as though the earth itself spat fire and death. Chapter 4. Mount Suribachi and the Flag Raising. At the southern end of Iwo Jima stood Mount Suribachi, a dormant volcano and the island's highest point. Whoever controlled it controlled the battlefield. For 4 days, Marines fought inch by inch to reach the summit. On February 23rd, the Stars and Stripes rose atop Suribachi, a moment immortalized by Joe Rosenthal's photograph. But the battle was far from over. While the flag symbolized hope, the fight for the rest of Iwo Jima would become even more brutal. Chapter 5. The Meat Grinder. If Mount Suribachi was the heart of Iwo Jima, the northern sector was its teeth. The Marines called it the Meat Grinder, Hill 382, Turkey Knob, and the Amphitheater, all interconnected by tunnels and bristling with artillery. Flamethrowers and tanks became the Marines' lifeline. Portable flamethrowers cleared tunnels, while Zippo tanks turned hidden bunkers into infernos. Yet, every advance was met with fierce resistance. Chapter 6. Final Stand and Aftermath. By mid-March, the Japanese defense was reduced to scatter holdouts, but they refused to surrender. On March 25th, 300 Japanese soldiers launched the silent counterattack near Airfield No. 2, resulting in brutal hand-to-hand combat. It was their final stand. When the battle ended on March 26th, over 26,000 American casualties were recorded, including nearly 7,000 dead. Japanese losses were staggering. Of the 21,000 defenders, almost all fought to the death. Only 216 were captured. Chapter 7. The Cost and Legacy. The Battle of Iwo Jima remains a defining moment in history. It showcased the unyielding courage of the Marines and the lengths to which nations would go for victory. But was it worth the cost? Over 2,200 B-29 bombers used Iwo Jima as an emergency landing site, potentially saving thousands of lives. Yet, critics argue that other islands could have served the same purpose without such devastating losses. For the men who fought there, Iwo Jima was more than a battlefield. It was a crucible of honor, sacrifice, and survival. Today, it stands as a solemn reminder of the cost of freedom. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of World War II's most harrowing battles. If you found this story inspiring, give us a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories of history.